In this video, we're going to look at a couple of different concepts. We've talked about in other videos a little bit of this stuff, but this will be more in depth, establish it a little bit firmer. So the things we're looking at here are expressions, and specifically we're looking at operator expressions, command expansion type expressions, assignment expressions, conditional execution, and I think that's about it for this video, and another video covers some other expressions. So at the top here you actually see an assignment, and an assignment is essentially where you have a variable or something that's going to accept a value. On the left side you have an equal sign, and then you have something that has a value on the right side. Now I'm doing some advanced things in here to start getting you used to seeing these in other Ruby programs as we go through the rest of the video, so that they start to kind of sink in here. And I've actually use the semicolon here to put multiple expressions on one line. So the semicolon is actually optional to end a line in Ruby, but where you can use it is in this case where you can put together multiple expressions onto one line, just to clean up your program a little bit. It doesn't do anything other than that. So the first thing I've assigned A to 1, B to 2, and C to 6. The second thing we've done here is some operator expressions, and these are very simple. Operators are just things like addition, multiplication, those types of things, and we just essentially use them. They sit in between two variables. In this case it could be numbers if we're doing mathematical type things, and we've covered this in other videos, so it shouldn't be too shocking, but that's called an operator expression. The next thing that's a little bit interesting is we have a command expansion. If you notice that this character surrounding these two instructions here is the back tick, and on my keyboard it's below the tilde character, so it's the little guy that's the tick that's pointing down towards the right as opposed to the single quote. And what this does, it actually will execute this command from your command shell. So as long as this command exists in your command line, it'll run, and we'll see a demonstration in a second of that. Here's assignment again. This first part is pretty much what I did above, except for the last part I switched the C to a character like that. Now a new advanced thing is that when you're using the puts, if you put something in double quotes after it as opposed to the single quotes like down here, and what the double quotes allow you to do is evaluate things inside of, so you have Ruby evaluate these, and if you put something inside this special kind of setup right here, we capture it here, this hash and then the two curly brackets, whatever is sitting inside there, Ruby's going to try to evaluate that and print that out instead of this kind of mess here. If you put that in a single quote, you're just going to get whatever literally is there, that hash and then the two curly brackets with the A. So we'll run that and you'll see that print out there. Now another thing that you can do is parallel assignment. So what this does is it actually sets everything to C, because C will be E after we run this statement. So when we get down here, A will equal B, which is set to C. So it actually executes in reverse. It goes back this way, sets B then A, and again we just print out what were our variables here with this statement. And also the difference between print and puts is that print just prints a line and no carriage return, where puts actually prints a carriage return. And here we have a conditional execution, and again we covered this in other videos, but I want to tie these expressions together with the other expressions to see how they work together. We've done this gets also. This goes out and gets a string from the keyboard, from your standard input it's called, and assigns it to this variable, local variable called string. And here we're going to check and see if that string is equal to P. Now the chomp method, if we go in here and we do ir string chomp, so ir is our little documentation command, we can see that chomp actually strips off, and if we look down here, it removes carriage return characters. So that way we're assured that we're getting just the character or whatever that they typed in and not the carriage return. So our executable here will say, hey, did they enter a P? If so, print out that. If not, we're going to print out what they printed out. So I did that with an if statement. Then we jumped down here and I did the same thing with a case when statement. So it looks and says, okay, when the case is, the string is this: when it's a P, you're going to print out this; when it's a 1, you're going to print out this statement; and finally, otherwise, if it's neither of those, you're going to print out this. So let's go ahead and run this, and I'm just going to run it from the command line as a program, and it's 0903.rb. So you can see here's our first set of expressions are addition, multiplication. Here's our command expansions. Here's the date, and then so that corresponds to this guy. And then we have our listing right here. So that's the directory listing. Here we have our assignment, and it's telling us that you see in the parallel assignment everything ends up it is E. Now enter something. I'll enter a 1. And you entered a 1. Goodbye. Now it's going to ask me for something else. That's the next statement here. And I'm going to enter something like that. And finally, it defaults down through the else. So that's some quick run through some simple expressions in Ruby.